So this is Henry IV, the statue of Henry IV. Henry IV was famous because he stunk like a goat. Regardless of the fact he had a lot of mistresses. The reason that Henry IV stunk like a goat is because people didn't take baths back then. Actually, it was thought of to be bad hygiene to take baths because, in fact, the air is what made you sick. So, logic back then was that if you kept a nice layer of scum on your skin, that you would actually be saved from microorganisms or whatever they thought caused sickness. I guess bad air is what they used to say. So, Henry IV stunk like a goat, but he still had lots of mistresses. And actually, that park we just passed down below, that's where he took his mistresses. You can see the Louvre is right across the street. He would just walk across, meet his mistresses there, have a roll around in the mud, then head back home. So Henry IV, ladies' man. Actually, he was known for writing long letters when he was out on the battlefield to his mistresses. And a lot of times he would actually reveal battle plans, which kind of made him a bad military leader. But to understand Henry IV, we got to go back in time a little bit to Henry III. Henry III was a very eccentric man. He was actually an open homosexual. He traveled around with a court of beautiful young men known as his petit mignons, or his little cuties. Now the thing is, Henry III was a bit of a hypocrite. He actually, when these little cuties made him mad, or these little cuties got a little bit older, or maybe less handsome, or hurt, he would actually banish them to a monastery to repent for their sins. The same sins that he was partaking in, but nonetheless he would banish them. So you can see how this would breed a little bit of animosity. Now, Henry III one day doesn't have any idea what's going on. He goes to the bathroom, sits down, opens his paper. Meanwhile, one of his little cuties had snuck in through the window, jumps in the bathroom, and stabs Henry III right in the stomach. So, Henry III, as he's dying, says, Henry IV will be my successor. Well, the reason he says this is because Henry III and his two other brothers had no heirs. So there was no one to step up to the plate. So he names Henry IV, who's actually married to his sister and is a great nephew of Louis IX, Saint Louis. So this is a stretch. And the thing is, the people in Paris, they don't want Henry IV because he's actually a Protestant. Now, the people who are in control in Paris when Henry III dies is the Catholic League. Now, they hate Protestants at this moment. So Henry IV decides he's going to go to Paris and lay claim to his throne. Now, what he finds is a city surrounded by walls and he can't get inside. So his tactic is starve them. You see, he had a very small force of men. So what he could do is just starve them out. So he gets them to the point where they're actually eating rats, eating cats, eating dogs, eating cats. Did I already say cats? Anyway, they're eating cats. They actually go to the cemetery, grind up bones, and make bread out of it. They go pretty far in their hunger. In fact, one woman even gets caught eating her own children. So it's pretty serious. So Henry IV lays siege. Eventually, he can't do it, so he retreats until he decides. So he decides that he is going to actually convert to Catholicism, and that is probably the smartest move he's ever made. And when he does convert to Catholicism, he does it just outside the city at the Cathedral, the Basilica of Saint Denis. So people of Paris can actually go and see their new king, and they say stuff like "Vive le roi," "Long live the king." They respect what he did, and just not so shortly after, he actually is able to walk right into the city and take his throne rightfully. Now, Henry IV is going to do a lot of big projects. Like I said, he built the Pont Neuf. He's also going to make a grand plan for the Louvre Palace, so the Louvre will actually meet up with Tuileries. He's going to create the Place Dauphine that we were in just before. He's going to do a lot for the people of Paris. In fact, he's even known to being good to the poor, which is not very well heard of back then, because he gives everybody a free chicken on Sunday. So, Henry IV, good French king. Henry IV will unfortunately meet his death in a very tragic way. In fact, he has premonitions of his death before it even happens. In fact, he's just going down the street in his carriage when a Catholic zealot named Ravaillac jumps in the car and stabs him to death. Now, guess what? That is not very good to kill a king. So guess what Ravaillac has to suffer? Horrible torture. For days he's tortured before they actually execute him. In fact, they take him and they use la question, and they tie his hands behind his back, and they drop you until you're just about to hit the floor, and then your arms pop out of your sockets. They removed his fingernails. They did everything possible that was horrible. Then, when they finally kill him, they tie him to 4 horses, his leg to one horse, his other leg to the other, of course you understand, and he's quartered. The horses go in other directions, and they pull Ravaillac apart. So, leaving on a nice note, let's move on to the next place, guys.